out to Austin, Texas, and catching up with Noah Gross. This time last week, not to put you on blast, buddy, but this time last week we were talking and you were chalking up that Alabama game. I was too, by the way, so I'm not letting myself off the hook. We were just chalking that up to Bama hits a bunch of threes. Texas is a huge dog. And Texas goes into Alabama, goes to Coleman Coliseum, and picks up a win. It seems like they've carried that momentum because they got another win over Vanderbilt there at the Moody Center. What do you make so far of this Texas team? Before we ask you about the building, because Patrick has a specific question about the Moody Center, but what do you make of what this team's been able to do against two ranked opponents?
Excited to hear the question about the Moody Center because I have opinions on pretty much whatever it is, from media food to volume. But as far as the basketball
I've never been there.
itself, as far as the basketball itself, yeah, obviously Texas has played much better. There's like a new confidence with this team, but both teams they just beat, Alabama and Vanderbilt, missed so many open shots. I would say Vanderbilt probably more so than Alabama. Like, they were getting a lot of good looks and just were not hitting them, especially in the second half. But as I've come on and since football has died down for Texas and it's been increasingly basketball season, the one thing I've been saying is this team won't be that good because Tremont Mark is not the leader that they expected him to be. I'm not backing down from that, but he has played good basketball as of late. And like, they're gassing him up, saying, you know, how great he is. And like, I can't blame him. The last couple of games, he's been so much better. He's put in effort. He's been a leader. He was challenging his teammates at halftime. So we'll see how consistent that is. And I do want to give the benefit of the doubt because this is why it's good for coaches to disclose some information, because everybody's bashing Tremont Mark for good reason. He hadn't been playing well. He's like a sixth-year guy that's been in college basketball for forever. But Sean Miller's just now talking about how difficult the offseason was for him, fighting through injuries, couldn't really practice much. So with that being said, now as he's getting healthier and more comfortable, it's clearly showing on the court. He's playing much better. Patrick, what do you got as far as the arena?
So, you know, I'm a West Virginia grad, and you know the Big 12 was Texas's old conference. I've seen enough Big 12 basketball from when I was at college to know that the Moody Center is cursed, haunted. There's a stench about it, you know, whatever you want to say, vendetta, anything. Is this place, like, I just don't know. I really want to know what Texas's home record is over the last few years, because I just feel like teams go there feeling pretty good about themselves, and then I don't know if it's the blow up balloons that they used to do, and they'd wave them around in the fans that I guess they haven't done in years, but I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's just something about that place.
Well, in the Big 12 days, it was largely the Irwin Center, which was, you know, I only covered it for a little bit, but that place was a rough arena. Calling it arena was, you know, tough. When Kevin Durant was back recently, when KD was back, he played for the Suns last year, and they played in Austin. Yeah. We asked him about it. He's like, I have good memories in there, but like, yeah, it was much different than the Moody Center is now, which to me is like too ritzy for a basketball arena. It feels like a concert venue and like meant for like the rich donors, which Texas has. It's
a wine and cheese. Can
we talk about this? Like, what is this big screen in the back?
Okay, yeah. The big screen is gigantic, I admit, and like I have a problems with the arena itself, and it just the students were great against Vanderbilt. I will give them that. Without them, that arena has nothing. But my biggest qualm with the Moody Center over the first couple of years is they were figuring stuff out, but like, man, that first year was so bad because we're sitting courtside shooting the game, and the audio level in that place was truly unfathomable. Like how loud they would have Thunderstruck and all these songs from the video board on, and they would be like, this is Texas, we like it loud. I'm like, you can be loud, the human beings, but you don't have to have the music at a decibel level that is going to shatter every eardrum in this place. Like, there has to be a legal limit. So that was my biggest qualm, and I think they've toned it down a little bit. It's still a little loud for my liking in there.
I was about to say, can you like talk to game day ops and just be like, hey, look, all right, man.
Please.
Here's a Benjamin. Like, bring those decibels down a little bit.
Yeah, a Benjamin might be a little bit strong, but I will say I tweeted a couple years ago. I was like, we need to lower the volume in here, and then in the post-game press conference, did not get a question. I was raising my hand for a question.
Oh.
And so I don't know if that was correlated.
Did the SID pass you over? He was like,
yeah,
okay.
once it was called out, I don't know if that was why, but I took it as that reason.
Okay, well, I'll take a different spin on the Vendetta thing here just a second, because I want to ask one question about the men's team as they get ready to play Texas A&M. Like, we've seen now Bucky Ball a couple times now, and I was very, very curious as to how it would work on the Division I scale, and then especially in the SEC. And they were blowing teams off the floor early in the non-conference. Now they come out in conference. Well, now that this rivalry is back in two different styles, and as you mentioned, a team in Texas who's likely finding themselves, maybe with a little bit of luck from their opponents, now they come in with an opponent who looked really good in the non-conference and then just lost their first game. How do you figure this first Texas versus Bucky Ball will go coming up in this weekend?
So last week when we were talking about Texas having to face like an upbeat offense like Alabama, I had no confidence in them because they hadn't shown it. But the defensive effort they've had the past couple of games has been remarkable.
Yeah.
And, at home is kind of to be expected because the crowd's rocking. Last year against A&M, man, that was such a special game for Texas, who struggled last season, but had the incredible comeback late. Tremont Mark hit a big bucket late against the Aggies. So it's going to be rocking Saturday as the students return, and Texas is playing better basketball. So I think the effort's going to be there for them. I would say that is a definite plus. It's just, can they get enough offensively? That's the worry for me, because the Aggies are going to put up points, and Texas against Vanderbilt was able to score enough, but they had like 3 possessions that were huge and very key in the second half, where it was like shot clock running down, panic, give it to Tremont Mark, chuck up a 3, end of the shot clock, and it went in. So like the half-court offense was a bit iffy, but I would say I'm much more confident in Texas defensively now than I was last week, and that's not even to say anything about the offensive side of the ball, but the effort they've showed was genuinely different than they did in their first 2 games. So that I would have more confidence in from a Texas perspective.
Vokatitis had a really nice night against Vanderbilt. I believe he dropped 22 points. What have you seen in his development so far?
Yeah, much more confidence and just like aggressive. Like he had, coming over from FAU to the SEC, you have obviously a different level of physicality night in and night out. And like I figured it might take a little while for him to get used to that, but like he was seeking out contact against Vanderbilt, and I was there on the court, and you could just like hear him like kind of leading the charge in the paint and everything like that. So I remember one time in the first half he got blocked, or the ball got deflected when he was in the post and he was about to go up, and then he went up for he got the ball back, pump faked, went up again, and then threw it down, and kind of like he's a very like reserved guy, but like kind of puffed his chest out a little bit. And I'm like, that's what Texas needs, because he's like their guy at the center position. They have Lassina Traore, who's a backup. He's a veteran. He's fine. But, like, if he's your number one guy, that's going to be an issue. So, Midas Vokatitis is somebody they desperately need to be good. I mean, they don't have enough, like, proven commodities, Texas. Yeah. So, they need all these guys to step up and be better than what they've been. And Vokatitis, I would say, has been. But for him, it's just, like, a mentality switch. Like, if he can be, like, that alpha dog as a 7-footer with – a bit of finesse in his game, that would be massive. And he was big against Vanderbilt. And post-game, they brought him to the post-game presser. And, like, every time they asked him a question, his teammates would start chuckling. And, like, before he even said anything. So I don't know if he's, like, these are laughing like a laughing at situation or laughing with. I hope it's a laughing with, because he might be, like, the funniest guy on the team then.
Right.
That alpha dog, you bringing that up. Who was it? Zion Young?
The
cat.
No, it's Zion Young from Missouri.
Talking about
a bunch of dogs and cats. Remember that from that thing went viral from SEC Media Days. It might have been the same day as Texas.
It might have been.
You might have been like knee deep with Arch Manning and Sark stuff on that day. Final thing on the men before we go to the women's side. Sean Miller was brutally honest about his team early on, in the same way kind of Coach Calipari is. We saw with Stephen Pearl this past week. But Sean Miller last week was almost talking about his group like they were a bunch of kids. Like, hey, when I tell you to not cross the road and you cross the road, I'm not saying disrespecting him anyway, but it felt like whatever disrespecting his first cousin is, like to his own team. But since then they've won 2 games. Is any of this a product of Coach Sean Miller, or is this just a gut check time between, as you mentioned, Vokatitis, who stepped his game up, and Mark, who stepped his game up as well?
100% a product of Coach Sean Miller. And I've been meaning to ask him, like, how difficult is that as a guy that's been doing this a long time to go after your team like that and hope, because it can go one of 2 ways. It can go even further south after that. So But it worked. Like the team, I was there against Vanderbilt, and they talked about, like after getting called out, like they had to make a choice,
right.
and they totally changed it in practice right away. And I mean, he's done that a couple of times. Like it took like 3 or 4 times of him calling them out, and I think it was like the most drastic one after the loss against Tennessee, where he was just like, "We're not making any progress," things like that. Like we're getting nothing out of this team. There's no effort. After that, the way they flipped it to Alabama was incredible. But they did cite that, and then they also cited some veterans on the team, like Mark, calling out his teammates, like Dalen Swain, who's been the best player on this team, and Tremont Mark said, "You're not closing out hard enough." He told him that at halftime of the Vanderbilt game, and he had a couple big turnovers forced in that second half. So it's him and then the guys that are veterans in the locker room as well that are able to do it. And Miller talked about like the difference the Alabama game was able to the different mentality that they got from the Alabama game, like the confidence they carried from that to Vanderbilt was clear. And he's like, we just kept that moving into the Vanderbilt game. So it all did stem from him challenging his team.